look, the microphone's taller than me.
Well, and you can, the chair is raised and lower a tad. A tad good.
Hello, 1, 2, 3. Hello, 1, 2, 3.
Hello, 1, 2, 3. Hello,
Is that your
hello,
voice?
hello.
Is that your voice? Is that what you
My voice? Yeah, my voice. I'm really, I suppose I should talk to them. I'm loud.
Good.
I'm like saying,
Good,
I'm not going 1, 2, 3 because I'm like, man, they're going to hear me down the hall.
But that's the problem with the video, by not having this mic'd up differently. While the radio show is nice and loud, only the guests that really project themselves get to take advantage of this. So you'll do.
Oh,
well.
I'm a projector, no
fine.
problem. So
We're
I feel like I'm
projectors.
like really high or something.
Yeah. You might be. We were messing with these chairs yesterday.
And maybe I'm not moving
You want it lower?
You're good.
anywhere.
You want it lower?
Yeah, it's just a tag. Oh wait, I think I found it.
Because otherwise we're about the same height. That's good for the video, don't you think?
All right, no, that'll work.
That
I just
works.
feel like, man. Okay, I just can't cross my legs so that I can actually touch the ground. Yes, it really is.
Well, it's this thing here.
Oh, that's the one. Oh, that one's really low.
Here, now go up. Now let up.
You're hilarious. We're all just sit like this.
I'll bring it
You want a
down.
phone book?
Okay, now you put you two to me now. God, see you ask, and is this all going on?
Yes, weird.
There
There
we
you
go.
go. There you go. Better?
Yes, better. I just felt like the table was like, I had a show off going on.
It's a place for your boobs if you get to
Pretty much.
Yes.
Bring that
If
just
at any
up.
point you need to stop, just say, can I stop for a second? Or time.
If I start laughing
need to
uncontrollably.
It's
I can edit that out.
Okay.
But if you need to restate something, that's fine. If
Okay.
at the end of the show you forgot something, we can insert it. So
Okay.
I forgot to mention that to your guest
Making sure
yesterday.
this is all.
But I told myself.
Well, that's good. Because you were one of my guests yesterday. Perfect.
All right.
I got the same pattern on.
Are we set?
We are set.
Yes.
All right, let's put some gin in this tonic.
Well, hello there. This is Susan Hamilton. You're listening to the Offbeat Business Show. Thank you so much for tuning in during your valuable lunch hour. We appreciate you so much. And we understand who you are, American business. We represent you. We represent 80% of American small business that are family-owned businesses of 9 employees or less. And that means you do have a voice because there's more of you than you realize. And we get it because you're building your business while you're taking care of your kids. You are probably taking care of your parents at the same time you're raising your kids. Most of you have a veteran in your family or your workspace, and so veteran issues are a big deal to you. You support our nation. You are patriotic business owners, and about 30% of you are dealing with addicts in your family or your workspace. Not ADDICS, we all have addicts, but addicts. Addiction's a big problem in America today. So when I like to bring you the resources that empower you, it's just so important when I run across somebody that has a perspective that I know you need to kick some serious butt in the workplace today, because this is, so many of us feel like we don't have a voice, but we do. So today I'm talking with Candy Barone. Hey, Candy.
Hey, Susan.
Hey, Candy is doing some really cool stuff, and she is traveling all over the nation, sharing really wonderful information about being empowered strong and how important it is to really come from a place that really exudes some power and some resources, because you only get in this world what you put out. And if you're concerned about lack in your business, your family, and your workspace, you really do need to make sure you're getting some mindset resources and some training about how to manage that team. So, because you can accidentally put that off on your team, can't you, Candy?
You absolutely can.
Oh man! And then your teams feel your sales staff, your receptionists, your technicians out there. They don't realize that the power that they have to actually make a difference in each and every one of those verbal transactions that they have.
Right. Right, and like I tell a lot of my clients, leadership is a choice. It's not something that's, we grow up with the notion that you're either born or created as a leader. And I actually think that's a huge fallacy, and there's a myth behind that, because
Good.
it gives people permission to cop out and not take personal responsibility. And when you realize that leadership has nothing to do with your title, it has nothing to do with your role and responsibility in the organization, it has to do with you showing up and playing full out in the gifts that you've been given. And so when you realize that leadership is truly a function of how you choose to show up, how you choose to serve others, and how you choose to take personal responsibility, it starts from top down and bottom up. And so leadership is something that becomes a cultural thing and a choice within the organization.
Yeah, and it needs to be, because everyone shines in that space when they step into it. It's amazing what we can do. It's amazing the energy and the power we have inside of us.
It is, and when you get your whole team playing to their highest and best level, can you imagine the results you get back on ROI, on productivity, on your bottom line? If you've got people that are playing full out, at full capacity, with passion and purpose, and they are out there getting it done,
Can you imagine
elevate your whole organization to another level.
That just gets me so excited. Can you imagine, people? Can you imagine? That's why I want you to get this. Can you imagine what would happen if your whole team was on fire to bring money into this company and to communicate wisely between each other and with your customer and client base? What if they actually were excited to bring you the information you require of them that they're slacking on? What if they wanted to participate at that high level?
Right.
Whoa, what could you do?
Well, and I love that you say fire, because think about it for a minute. You think about a fire that's going on. You can either fuel it with the right ammo, the right spark, the right match that gives you that blue, that beautiful fire that has the blue, that hot spot in the middle, or you can put the wrong gasoline on it and it can blow up like an inferno and blow the entire facility, the infrastructure down. So when you get really clear about the fuel, you get really clear about how you want to, manage and stoke that fire, and how you want to be putting the right energy into it, that thing can burn and burn and burn, and you get that really sweet blue, when it gets really hot, and it just keeps burning, and it keeps burning, and it keeps burning, and then you can have the big flames when you need them, and then it comes back down, and it's burning and burning. So I love the fact that you use a fire. I'm going to have to steal
Well,
it.
I think that's kind of hilarious, because we are both from up north. I'm from Wisconsin, and Candy's from...
Well, I lived in Milwaukee for 20 years,
but you said Pittsburgh?
Pennsylvania, Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. The city of brotherly
Yeah,
love.
so I would say Philly and Illinois and Wisconsin all have been a big play in my earlier years.
Where we understand why that fire blowing at a regular pace is so important,
Right.
because we got to make gas last a long time for the winter season. We
Right.
really, that was really part of the analogies we used growing up.
Right.
And we're familiar with down here in Texas. You really want that AC cooking. That's what you want.
You want to watch the fires down here, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So one of the things that I want you to know about Candy is she contributes regularly to the OffBeat Business Magazine, and I really appreciate everything that she brings to the table, because she helps us understand that ROI needs to be reimagined. We need to be looking at the return on the investment a little bit different than just, okay, what's the financial gain once you do something. Now, yes, everything that you do should have a financial benefit, but people don't respond to that, and we are really not in that stage of life in American business in 2016. We're just not. We've got to be able to empower everybody to want to have a buy-in
Right.
with the vision of what you're wanting for that company. Yes, it's a challenge. Yes, that's the hardest thing. Yes, as a business owner, you have got the ultimate responsibility for that vision, but conveyance of that with the rest of the team and learning how to work together is something that you share every single month with our audience. And I'm really grateful. I mean, we're up to about 43,000 subscribers after just a couple months ago. Not subscribers, but readers.
That's wonderful, and you're right. Spending 20 years in corporate really taught me how people evaluate ROI. First of all, it amazes me how many organizations have not gotten clear about what they mean, what an ROI means for their business. And if they do, they're looking at it in a very myopic, very narrow space that says ROI is money in versus money out. That's this much of the equation. When you realize that ROI
Just for the
really...
record, she put her finger and her thumb very close together.
That's
for
like
those
an
of you
inch
listening on radio.
Sorry. For those of you that can't see, it's about this big. When you think about the fact of if you were really taking just kind of a small chunk in a larger magnitude of a puzzle, and you're taking one piece, it's one piece of the equation. And so while some organizations still have the opportunity to really define and get clear on ROI, those that have an opportunity to realize that when I say ROI, I'm not just talking about money in versus money out. I'm talking about a function of time, money, energy, resources, people, and lifestyle. And when you look at all of those things as part of the equation and really creating a puzzle that's complete, then you start to look at all the different levers that you have in terms of both investments into that equation as well as the opportunity cost. Because for everything you put in, there's always another side that's the opportunity cost. And so the equation really needs to be that ROI equals that your investments being made, or that the equation at the end, the win is that ROI is greater than the opportunity costs of the investments that you're making. And so when you realize that and can truly map that out for every opportunity that comes forward, you start to play differently and you start to empower your people to do the same.
Because they get burned out when there's so much redundancy. And that's really what's happening. Because in an effort to manage wisely, a lot of times what we'll do is overmanage. A lot of times we put metrics in place that are not necessary, because we're not looking at that return, what it needs to, because it's different for everybody. We don't have the same goals. Yes, we want to make more money, but and yes, we want to have more time. Those things.
Yeah,
are
well, that's
important.
part of also putting goals in the place of the sake of just having goals. It's kind of the busy for the sake of being busy, goals for the sake of having goals. When if you really broke it down and said, what do you really mean when you say you want your business to grow X percent? X percent of what? And is it X percent really just the bottom line, or is it X percent and also you want a lift in terms of the satisfaction and the engagement of not only your clients but your employees and your culture as well? And so are you looking at really getting fine-tuned and deliberate on how you're defining those objectives and those goals in the first place? And are they these lucrative goals that are 3-5 years out, or are they real term goals that are going to get you traction and momentum in your business over the next 6 to 12 months? And when you start to break that down differently, your scorecards and your metrics reflect that crystal clear definition versus, oh yeah, we got the balanced scorecard and it's, X plus Y equals Z and that's our return. Well, what does X mean in the first place and what does Y mean? And your X is not the same as the company down the street.
It's not, and it reminds me of, and as you're saying that, I was thinking about fire again. That the flame. What's the old phrase that a phrase that burns twice as bright burns out twice as fast. And by not having that clear metric, if your goal is really wrapped up in that short-term solution, what you can end up with is really doing an awesome job this month.
Right.
And that's what you get. And then next year you're struggling, and if you found yourself, and the reason that I say this is as I hear it all the time, if you found yourself in a situation where you're going around that same mountain, you're going around that same problem, as here you are again, and you're just as busy as you were before, and that same issue that you addressed last year, you're addressing this year, friends, get a coach. Oh, for crying out loud. Get some help, because you can get past it. You don't have to stay there. And it's not a reflection of your brilliance. It's not a reflection of your ability. It's not a reflection of your dependence. It happens to be a reflection of your willingness to continue your own education.
Well, and I will tell you two things in what you just said. One, on the back end around getting a coach. If you look at any high-performing, truly successful, sustainably successful entrepreneur, business owner, executive, you name it, they have some sort of coach that's even if they're just a sounding board. We have a really hard time seeing the forest for the trees and being able to step out of what's right in front of us.
Seriously, as a visionary, that is a struggle.
Absolutely. And if you don't have somebody that can help you vet that out, somebody that can help you get clear, because here's the other thing that happens inside of that. When we talk about getting crystal clear on goals and objectives is, and I definitely have my own challenges with the squirrel syndrome and being a big visionary. And I see people who are, and you get people that are, constantly going after the Joneses, and they want to keep up with the Joneses, and they want to see what their competitors are doing. And I get more executives and business owners that come to me and say, I need to do this now. Okay, stop. Where's that coming from? Why the sudden urge? They see something that's happening across the street and all of a sudden they got to have it. And they lose sight of the vision and the goals and the objectives that they had for the long-term success of their organization. They've lost sight of the purpose and the mission that they stand for because somebody else is going and doing something. They're elevating, they're bringing some money in, and they don't stop to say, does this even fit? But they got to have it. And so they go out there and they bring it in and they upset the entire organization chasing a squirrel instead of staying true to the objectives and the mission of what they built the organization on in the first place.
How do you stay cutting edge in this digital age if you don't keep up with everybody else, Candy? That makes no sense at all. How on earth are we not, how do we remain competitive if the neighbors are doing something different? It's just a really ridiculous scenario. But one thing you said that resonates with me also is when you start looking. Think about the visual that is, friends. If you're spending all your time focusing on what you consider your competitors, because by the way, you don't have any.
Right. Thank you. Thank
you
you.
do
That's
not have any
itself.
competitors. There's enough money and there's enough business out there for everybody. What you have is uniquely awesome, and you have it. And coming into this space, realizing they are all together, that we're working together. It's strategic alliances, friends, if you know what you're talking about. When we come back, listen, we're going to take a few moments. You're going to hear from our sponsors. And when we come back, we're going to talk more about this and really drill in, because there's a pretty cool point we're about to make. You're listening to the Offbeat Business Show. We'll be back in a minute.
Okay,
I noticed your brand new movement. I haven't seen you do this before.
well, I meant to do this. I'm tired. Remember I worked last night. So.
You know you're hitting my hot spot right now. I'm ready to jump into this space.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm ready to continue.
All right.
All right. Everything sounds good.
Oh, great. Awesome.
Keep it at that level.
Oh, but the banging on the table, that Raul's going to take forever to get that out.
Oh, did I
So
do
just-
that?
well,
I don't
I
even
did.
realize it.
It took him 6 months to teach me not to do that.
I'm such
So,
an Italian.
I know, right? Well, I'm German.
I'll do this and I'll just break the chair. I'm already noticing that move. I don't sit still.
So it was
I hit
the banging.
really hard.
Anyway.
Okay, I'll keep the hands.
You learn.
All right.
And we're back. This is Susan Hamilton, and you're listening to the Offbeat Business Show, and I'm talking with strategist and coach Candy Barone. And by the way, I've known you for so long, I'm really not sure what title you appreciate these days.
Which one someone wants to give me. I am not.
You refuse to be titled? Is that what
I
you're
do.
saying?
I don't believe in titles and labels. I've had everything
gotta
from,
define you.
executive coach, business strategist, corporate trainer. It doesn't, none of that matters. What I really, the tag that I call myself is more the pull no punches accountability powerhouse. It's just, I am sort of, for many organizations, that fractal chief growth officer. For
See, I like
others,
that.
I'm a
I like that
business strategist. And when you bring those together, it's really executive level coaching that I do with them to get them out of their own way. So you could call me a tomato. You could call me. I think about the movie Bambi, where he's like, "You can call me flower if you want to." It's a label. It doesn't define what I do with the people that I work with.
Well, I need to know what to put on all of this, all of your content that's going to be out with Offbeat Business Media. Okay, so but before we went to break, we were talking about the fact that it's too easy to spend time. We think that we're doing ourselves a favor with this real-time social media, looking at what everybody else is doing. We think we have to know what our competitors are doing so that we can beat them, so that we can be on the other side of that. It's amazing how even when you understand that's not true, how you have to refine your speech to actually to quit saying that to yourself in a subconscious way. I know I'm guilty of it, and I'm grateful that you helped me pull that out, because it's not true. However, think about the vision of what it must look like if every squirrel and every shiny button has your head turning to the right and turning to the left. Since that is not a clear focus, is it?
No.
You are distracted, and you can't make your own success out of that. You can't, make it, build it. You can't create your own success. Looking at everybody else, it will take you so much longer. I would say probably 5 times longer, wouldn't you? I mean, at least.
Yeah, I would, but I would also say, and please don't mistake the fact that I'm not saying keep an eye to what's going on in the business and the industry. And what I'm saying is put together a plan that allows you to go out and measure and assess what others might be doing, because as new technology comes out now, there's a difference between chasing the squirrel down or the rabbit down the rabbit hole and being very clear about, this new technology actually fits with our platform and what we're building. And what if we tried on and say, I can think about when like Blab and Google Hangout and all of those came out and video was really starting to make, you can then decide how different things will apply and fit with the platform and the messaging that you're trying to create. So you do want to keep a pulse. You do want to see what others that are doing that's successful. And then you want to be able to come back and be able to assess and analyze to say, okay, what do we like about that? What's really got us? It's always where that trigger's coming from. And so then you evaluate and you say, okay, if it's coming from here, what piece of that do we feel we're missing? And is it that we need this or that we need to shore up something else? And so it creates a dialogue to say something about that just triggered a response, and we were like, gotta have it. So there's that emotional connection to it. Okay, so where's that coming from? Why are you in that space, and where does that leave you in terms of gaps or opportunities, instead of just going after to chase everybody else? Because if you spend your time chasing, you will never set yourself apart. And as I've said, and we've talked about this, when you create your brand, especially on social media, that's one of the reasons I don't like labels, is because when I think about everybody out there going, oh, I'm a coach, especially in social media, it becomes this diluted sea of womp, 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 womp,
It
womp,
does.
Charlie
The
Brown
message is the
teacher.
same.
And
Oh,
I say
my
create your
stars.
unique value,
Yes.
position, and differentiators that allows you to be the lighthouse among a sea of 2 billion people on Facebook
Yes,
alone,
ma'am.
so that your light shines for the people that need to bring their boat to dock.
And that does
on
not
your
mean
shore.
it happens as quickly as what you see
No,
either. Because
no.
when you are changing public perception, it's interesting that you say that, because when I look at the potential and what SEO actually does, I understand it on two levels for being involved in it as I've been, which that's not ever been a career focus of mine, but it was an understanding of mine, because when we got involved, when I first started in online marketing, we were just realizing that you could influence your search engine results, and you could do it through blog posting and social media. And so that was something that our company took a key interest in.
Right.
And so I've got an understanding of it. But I've learned that it's not just about what's everybody looking for. And you will find that most SEO strategists will tell you that you need to know what everybody's looking for and be in that space. Well, you need to know it. That's what you need to do.
Right.
You need to know it. I think that knowledge helps you understand what you get to influence, because somehow, somewhere, somebody influenced it to be that way. So you need to know what terms define you, what your key metrics are, so that when you are going forward, you're crafting it to really be different. Otherwise, it is the same freaking thing.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, SEO is only as good, and this is the same thing I tell anybody around their social media. Social media is only as good as the content you're putting out there. And if you're not clear about, and I call it your what, why, and who, but if you're not clear about what you're trying to do in terms of how you change, influence, affect, impact, and serve others, if you don't know what that what is and why that matters to you, so that you create very succinct messaging, and then know who you serve, because I hate to tell anybody out there that thinks they serve everybody, newsflash, you don't.
Right.
You are not designed for everybody. And when you get crystal clear about the who, then you create your messaging and your branding and the way you're showing up on social media. SEO and search engines will be your friend, and will be a support structure,
a tool.
versus people that go out there and go, I need my SEO rankings. Great, but
You don't know what
your
that
SEO
means.
rankings
Yeah.
could be up, but it could be all the wrong people that
Yeah.
are finding you,
Yeah.
because your
Yeah.
message isn't aligned to what you're trying to do as an outcome and what you're trying to serve.
Well,
So you got to
sure.
get clear on the what, why, and who first, and then SEO and search engines and all of those other tools and resources that are supporting characters can do their job to help you be the lighthouse to attract those people that can see you, find you, hear you, and be in your space. And you'll find it's a lot easier to do business that way, because business finds you.
Well, the communication is the core of it, because you could do everything right with SEO on all of the points. I mean, you could do this awesome job. And if your team doesn't know what you're doing, and they don't understand what's on your website, and everybody who calls you is kicking tires, and they're not holding that sale, and you can't turn any of your large ticket items, that's how you know it's not working for you. So all your numbers can be what you think are right. And you go, wait a minute, it's not reflective in the revenue or the profits that we're seeing here. What's going on? And that's key, is that foundational element of building that core team that understands the communication within the core team. That's it. And if you think for 10 seconds I am giving you any type of a verbal spanking about this, that you have got to do this right now, no, darling, it takes you so long to master this. It really does. Don't be afraid of that. Start walking into it, start stepping into it, and allow yourself that time to really pay attention to what goes. And I tell everyone it's going to take you a year. When you start really honing in on this, it takes you a year to understand and start creating a baseline so you can go back the next year and know what on earth you're doing to improve it, nothing really goes much faster than that. That's not to say you won't start seeing returns and
Right.
revenue and profits before then, but to really have that cohesive team and strategy, oh, there's a lot of foundational work that goes into that, a lot of research.
There is, and the one caution I have to that, and it goes along with some of the other things around putting kind of all the eggs in one basket, but if you're too caught up, it's one thing to have an understanding and know what you're measuring and be clear about what you're measuring, but also don't let the numbers dictate everything that you do, because
Absolutely.
I say this as a former engineer and someone who's done many ridiculous levels of statistics with being a Six Sigma black belt and other things. But people will say, well, statistics say, okay, statistics are only as good as the information that's been fed to them. And everything that's done from statistical analysis was done in a context and a frame. So be clear you understand the context that it's being communicated in, because you can skew almost any data to reflect what you want by changing the context just a little bit. So be careful that you're not getting so caught up in the numbers that you're getting paralyzed. Because I get a lot of people that, and it's that whole analysis paralysis type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I need to analyze the numbers again. Oh, I need to make sure my financials are there. Oh, I need to. And it's like, you also need to take action. And you also need to do things that move the dial forward, and you need to take some risks. And so how are you going to measure and assess the risk?
See, that's the
In
metric we
addition
need.
to the financials and the other numbers, because the numbers are just a data point, and the data point is only got a story when you put the connotation, the context, and the emotional attachment around it.
Right.
So be careful, because we tend to skew the picture, positive or negative, based on the story we either believe or the story we want to see. And so how do you create, and this is why when I work with people, I say we're going to do both qualitative and quantitative metrics to make sure you're hitting the dial, because it's not just about, that's why ROI is not just a function of the money, it's a function of all those other things. And how are you going to measure the quality inside that space? And it may be subjective, such as a scale of 1 to 10, or it may be kind of how you're feeling. But I just caution people, because there are some people that get so paralyzed inside that frame. So, but the numbers say, I'm like, yes, and let's look at the rest of the equation in the story.
Very cool, very cool. Candy, how does our audience reach out to you? If they want to learn more, if they want you to come talk to their organization, or do a one-on-one training, or help them understand how to put those types of metrics in place, how do they reach you?
Sure. Best way to reach me is to go directly to my website, which is candybaroneinternational.com. It's all spelled out, so it's Candy, C-A-N-D-Y, Barone, B as in boy, A-R-O-N-E, and then international spelled out.com. You can find all kinds of resources, whether you want to talk to me about business strategy, whether you want to talk to me about corporate training, whether you want to talk to me about leadership or sales training for your organization, or you want me to, come out and do a presentation or speak to your team. All those resources and availability to get a hold of me are right there.
Awesome.
You can also find me on social media too.
Yes, and she's
I'm
pretty
everywhere.
simple. Look up Candy Barone, you will find Candy Barone. Now, you're going to find all of this information on Candy's podcast page. You'll also find this video and a way to go to get her book. You Empowered Strong.
Yes, my book, which is a great foundational piece. If you do want to start taking action, it's split into 1, understanding what you really want, 2, understanding what's getting in your way, and then 3, how do you start putting a plan together and take accountability. So it's sort of a work-in book. But yes, it's called You Empowered Strong, Infinite Possibilities in the Power of Yes.
I knew there was a subtitle to
Yes,
it. I could not
there
remember
is.
it. But it's not that big of a read. It's something you can stick in your purse or your briefcase or your pocket and learn from it. But you'll find all these resources, friends, at offbeatbusiness.com. You'll find our lineup. You'll find our magazine. You'll find the upcoming events. That's a big deal. We are doing events now on a regular basis, so you want to make sure that you can tune into an event near you. And also learn about our sponsors, get our app, and find out, because members of the Offbeat Business Alliance have secured much better pricing for members of the Alliance. So you need to be a part of that and be a part of our member directory. Find all of it at offbeatbusiness.com. Until next time, this is Susan Hamilton. You've been listening to the Offbeat Business Show.
Anything we need to add?
I don't think so.
Cool beans.